In the dim glow of a single lantern flickering against the weathered wooden walls of the old ranch house, Jack Harlan stumbled through the door, his boots heavy with the dust of a long day's ride under the unforgiving Texas sun. The weight of the world pressed on his broad shoulders, another failed cattle deal, whispers of drought threatening the land his family had held for generations, and the ever-present ache of loss that clawed at his chest like thorns from a wild rosebush. But nothing could have prepared him for the soft, melodic voice drifting from upstairs, a lullaby so pure and tender it pierced the silence like a ray of moonlight through storm clouds. There, in his daughter's room, knelt Elena, the quiet maid he'd hired out of necessity months ago, her hands gently cradling little Lily's head as she sang words of comfort and dreams, unaware that the cowboy's hardened heart was cracking open in that very moment. If this story of unexpected connections and hidden depths already tugs at your heartstrings, and if you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, hit that like button, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, share this video with someone who needs a reminder of love's quiet miracles, and subscribe to Moments of Love for more tales that celebrate the human spirit. The ranch sprawled across the vast, sun-baked plains where the horizon seemed to stretch forever, a place where men like Jack Harlan forged their lives from sweat and stubborn will. Jack had inherited the land from his father, a stoic figure who taught him that emotions were luxuries a cowboy couldn't afford, especially after the fever took his wife, Sarah, 3 years back, leaving him alone with their infant daughter, Lily. The child was a fragile reminder of what he'd lost, her mother's bright blue eyes staring back at him every morning, demanding care he barely knew how to give. Mornings blurred into evenings of endless chores, mending fences that the wind tore down, herding cattle that grew leaner with each passing season, and drowning the grief in whiskey by the fire when the stars mocked his solitude. Hiring help had been a reluctant decision, the ranch was bleeding money, and pride kept him from admitting he couldn't do it all. Elena appeared one rainy afternoon, her resume sparse but her eyes carrying the quiet desperation of someone who'd known hardship. She was just a maid, he told himself, a woman from a small border town, fleeing whispers of a broken past, content with scrubbing floors and cooking meals in exchange for a roof and meager pay. She moved like a shadow through the house, her dark hair tied back, her hands calloused from years of labor that went unnoticed, her voice rarely rising above a murmur. Jack barely glanced her way, his world narrowed to survival, but Lily, with her toddler's intuition, gravitated toward Elena's gentle presence, finding solace in the arms of the stranger when her father's were too rough or absent. Elena's days unfolded in a rhythm of quiet endurance, the kind born from a life that had dealt blow after blow. She'd crossed the border years ago, dreams of a better future shattered by a husband who vanished into the night, leaving her with debts and a heart scarred by betrayal. Work had been her anchor, cleaning homes in dusty towns, sending money back to her aging mother, burying the ache of childlessness under layers of routine. The Harlan Ranch was no different at first, floors to mop, laundry to fold, meals to prepare while Jack rode out at dawn and returned at dusk, his face etched with lines that deepened like cracks in parched earth. But Lily changed everything. The little girl, with her tangled curls and endless questions, tugged at Elena's soul, awakening a maternal instinct she'd long suppressed. Mornings found Elena humming softly as she dressed Lily, weaving stories of far-off lands into the braiding of her hair, stories from her own childhood under Mexican stars. Yet challenges loomed like gathering storms. Jack's gruff commands reminded her of her place, his occasional sharp words cutting deeper than intended, born from his own unhealed wounds. Elena struggled with the isolation, the language barriers that made her feel like an outsider, and the gnawing fear that attachment to Lily would only lead to more loss when Jack inevitably let her go. Nights were the hardest, lying awake in her small room, listening to the wind howl, wondering if she'd ever find a place to truly belong, her dreams haunted by the family she'd never built. As seasons shifted, the ranch faced its own trials, testing the fragile threads holding everything together. A brutal summer drought turned the pastures to brittle gold, forcing Jack to sell off livestock at a loss, his temper fraying like old rope. He rode harder, stayed out longer, leaving Elena to manage the house and Lily's growing needs. The child, now 3, began to show signs of the neglect her father's absence bred, tantrums born of loneliness, nights plagued by bad dreams where she cried for a mother she barely remembered. Elena stepped in quietly, her role expanding beyond dusting and dishes. She taught Lily simple songs in Spanish, songs of lullabies and love that soothed the girl's restless spirit. But the struggle intensified when Jack's frustration boiled over one evening, accusing Elena of overstepping, his voice thundering through the kitchen as he slammed a fist on the table, shards of a broken plate scattering like his shattered composure. Elena stood her ground with trembling resolve, her eyes meeting his for the first time with a fire that surprised them both, whispering that Lily needed more than a roof, she needed heart. That confrontation lingered like smoke, creating a chasm of unspoken tension, yet it planted the first seed of change. Jack began to notice the small things, the way the house felt warmer, the meals infused with flavors that evoked distant memories, and Lily's laughter echoing where silence once reigned. His rides grew reflective, the vast landscape mirroring the emptiness within, forcing him to confront the walls he'd built around his grief. The turning point arrived on that fateful night, the air thick with the scent of impending rain as Jack returned earlier than usual, his body aching from a fall off his horse that bruised more than his pride. The house was quiet save for that ethereal voice floating down the stairs, drawing him upward like a moth to flame. Peering through the cracked door, he saw Elena rocking Lily in the old wooden chair, her voice weaving a melody that spoke of oceans and stars, her face softened by a tenderness he'd forgotten existed. Lily's eyes fluttered closed, her small hand clutching Elena's shirt, and in that instant, Jack's world tilted. Memories flooded him, Sarah singing the same way, her voice a balm against life's cruelties, and tears stung his eyes, unbidden and raw. He slipped away unnoticed, but the image haunted him through sleepless hours, chipping away at his defenses. The next days brought subtle shifts. Jack lingered at breakfast, asking Elena about her songs, his voice gruff but curious. She shared haltingly at first, stories of her village, her lost dreams, and he found himself opening in return, speaking of Sarah's laugh, the ranch's legacy, the fear of failing Lily. Challenges persisted, the drought worsened, creditors called, and old habits died hard, but their interactions deepened, building a bridge over the divide. Elena's struggles eased as Jack's appreciation grew. He raised her pay, involved her in decisions, and watched as Lily blossomed under her care, the three of them forming an unlikely family amid the chaos. Suspense mounted as winter approached, bringing blizzards that isolated the ranch, forcing proximity that amplified emotions. Jack grappled with guilt, questioning if allowing Elena into his heart betrayed Sarah's memory, while Elena battled doubts of her worth, fearing rejection if her past surfaced. A crisis peaked when Lily fell ill with a fever, the road snowbound, leaving them to tend her through endless nights. Elena's vigilance never wavered, her songs a constant vigil, and Jack's hands, once only for reins and rifles, learned gentleness in holding his daughter. In those fevered hours, confessions spilled like melting snow, Jack admitting his loneliness, Elena revealing her barren sorrow, and bonds forged in vulnerability. As Lily recovered, the ranch emerged from the storm transformed. Jack proposed changes, hiring hands to ease his burden, allowing time for what mattered. Elena's role evolved, no longer just the maid but a partner in healing, her presence illuminating the shadows. Spring brought renewal. Rains quenched the land, cattle thrived, and love bloomed quietly, a second chance neither expected. Jack courted her with simple gestures, rides under blooming skies, shared sunsets, and Elena, for the first time, felt seen, her heart mending in the warmth of acceptance. By the story's close, the ranch stood as a testament to redemption, Jack's once hardened features softened by joy, Lily's laughter a symphony of innocence, and Elena at the center, her songs now a family lullaby. Their union, sealed under a canopy of stars, whispered that love arrives unannounced, often in the humblest forms, turning strangers into saviors. It was a reminder that amid life's relentless trials, kindness can rewrite destinies, offering second chances to those who dare to embrace them. If this tale of hidden love and quiet heroism has stirred something deep within you, touched your heart with its raw emotion, please like this video, leave a comment sharing how it moved you, share it with a friend who needs inspiration, and subscribe to Moments of Love for more stories that remind us of life's beautiful twists. Before we end, I'd love for you to comment below with the line, "Kindness changes everything," if this story reminded you of the power in unexpected connections.